So that's where I ended up, Krystal. It took a lot of digging.
Yeah,
a lot of CBO.
Because I've been wondering what the truth is.
I mean, look, as we said, very sympathetic on the show to the idea that the IRS targets the poor. True.
They do.
Will the new money be used against them? Well, not entirely, but I mean, the CBO says, yes, at least $20 billion will come from the working poor. And I mean, at the end of the day, and I think you would agree, I mean, the pinky promise is just not good enough.
No.
Right? It's just not good enough. You can't just be like, yeah, we pinky promise swear that we won't target the poor. It's like, well, okay, the only justification for this, of which I agree, is that the vast majority of very, very, very wealthy people in this country do not pay what they owe. Not what they conceptually should owe, what they actually owe, as in people over 10 billion. I have no problem with such folks being audited. If you're a multimillionaire, not even multimillionaire, if you're a 100 millionaire, I have no sympathy for you. You can afford the lawyers. And statistics say you're not paying your taxes. Yeah. That being said, you should not be worrying about this if you are a bartender, somebody who works in the service industry, and more. And frankly, I think they really shot themselves in the foot where it's like, yeah, was it $20 billion worth it? $600 billion bill. So it's like, for this $20 billion, you have now brought holy hell of political ramifications.
Yeah.
And Americans shouldn't trust you. Like, why should they trust the government when they tell them they were not going to do something?
I think, I don't know. Because there's
very foolish decision.
Yeah, because look, the problem of why the IRS targets the working poor is because they've been stripped of resources and they don't have sufficient funds, enough agents to actually focus in on these more complex audits of high net worth individuals. So the only answer is to hire more agents and give more resources. But then you're left with this catch-22 of, oh, but what they have done with them in the past is to go after the working poor. So how do we trust you that these agents are going to be doing something different? The simple solution is just write it into the bill.
Yeah, right.
So,
which they didn't.
There's a very obvious solution to, what certainly like the right wants to make this a political problem, because I think they've had difficulty really fear-mongering about this bill otherwise, because it is so, I mean, it's written by Joe Manchin. It's definitely not it's not the Green New Deal. It's nothing extreme. It's nothing crazy. It's this relatively sort of modest tinkering around the edges kind of a thing. The individual provisions are all broadly supported by the American public. The tax increases on corporations to get to a 15% minimum tax. I mean, it's hard to say that that's not worth it. Some of the other provisions, they're also very popular on, the moderate things they're doing on healthcare, investing in green energy jobs, all that, the tax credits that benefit a lot of middle-income Americans. So this is the thing that they've kind of seized on, and they've gone like really over the top with the rhetoric. Like Kilmeade, when he was, I think this is when he was filling in for Tucker, said that instead of hunting down evil maniacs, these IRS agents hunt down and kill middle-class taxpayers that don't pay enough. It's Joe Biden's new army.
Right.
So they're clearly going all in on this as like the political hit that they figured out with regards to this bill. And to your point, Democrats could have easily neutralized it with a simple amendment that would make it more clear. And, there's no reason why any of us should really trust the
just fix it now.
intentions.
Fix it before it's an actual problem. Because, $20 billion is not an insignificant amount of money that you'll be plucking, out of tens of millions of people. And from McCarthy's figure, he's actually not wrong. I mean, look, the people who were responding were like, well, it's only $750,000 out of 200-something million. I'm like, listen, that's still a lot of audits. $750,000 new audits.
And you haven't
it ruins people's lives.
You haven't actually changed the incentive structure within the IRS.
Yes.
Like the incentive is still to go after the easy, low-hanging fruit. And unfortunately, that's what the working poor are. I literally cannot imagine like sleeping at night if I was going after, some waitress who didn't properly log their tip income or whatever.
Exactly. Or somebody who's not reporting enough Venmo, like a hairdresser or something. It's like, leave these people alone.
Indeed. Cable news is ripping us apart, dividing the country, making it impossible to function as a society, and making it impossible to know just what is true and what is false. But the good news is they are failing and they know it.
That is why we're building something new, a new mainstream, a healthier one, something more trustworthy, something that we are going to need in one of the most pivotal times in American history. We are building up here for the midterms, for the upcoming presidential election, but we need your help. So if you can help us out by becoming a premium member today at breakingpoints.com, we're trying to change America for the better and the entire world.
So what are you waiting for, guys? Go to breakingpoints.com and sign up and help us build a new mainstream.